Preparing to live stream the meeting.
Cool. Cool.
And
Hello,
I'm
YouTube
recording.
land.
Yes. YouTubers. Oh, I gotta mute that.
Yeah.
How fitting. You two are on the top and I'm on the bottom. Next to each other, father and son.
Father and son. That's how it should be, I guess.
That worked out well.
Maybe it's just based on who came in first.
That could be too. That might be too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Very possible.
So, it's gonna look like I'm looking down the entire time. I need glasses with like eye goggles that have, because I don't know, I have sleepy eyes in general. Yeah, no, that'll help. Hi, everybody. All right. So here we are.
We do have. Oh, it's probably me and you actually.
Yeah, and I just put it on my phone, so we're our own biggest fans in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's okay.
There we go.
Views are views. So it's so funny when you see the delay. Anyway,
yeah, right.
I know it sound so inexperienced. Anyway, so this is episode 16. We started going live on YouTube last week, and here we are again, back for your listening pleasure. We are actually recording this time, so this will come out as a podcast as well. So welcome to Gameday716. Noah, you want to do your intro, or you want me to do it?
Oh, I can do it. Hold on. All right. Welcome to episode 16 of the Game Day 716 podcast. We have a jam-packed show for you today, and we will be talking about all sports Buffalo from the past week. We have on P-Dubs, as always. And, you know, it's my father and I as the other two guys. So with that said, how are you guys all doing today?
They said great.
Well, there we go.
I'm doing all right. Had a day at work. I was grumpy all day. Not as grumpy now.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we got the grumpiness sorted out.
Yeah.
But
Timbits. It was Timbits.
You needed sugar. That's what it was. You needed sugar.
Yeah, as a diabetic, that's right. So good for me. Sugar and pop in a smoothie. That's what did it. So,
ooh, that would cure any bad day.
Exactly.
True. But well, why don't we just get the show started? Let's jump into our topics. Let's jump into some news, and let's get rocking and rolling.
All right. So in news, we're going to start with some big news about Tiger Woods that broke today. The LA County Sheriff released their findings stemming from the accident. They said that he was going 85 downhill in that 45 mile per hour zone. And he hit the tree that he hit going 75 miles per hour. Pretty fast. He's probably driven faster though. So, my understanding is that hill is very steep, and that people go flying down that hill all the time. So, I don't know if 75 to 85 is what flying down that hill actually is, but
I read in the report that I read on TMZ that the sheriff's office was saying that right before the moment of impact, he accelerated.
Huh.
And I find that interesting. I don't know why I find that interesting, but I just feel like if you're about to run into a tree going 75 miles an hour, your instinct is going to be to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, you would think so.
But they didn't, to my knowledge, they didn't find anything in the system.
Right.
It wasn't drug or alcohol related. So, I mean,
right.
He could have just zoned and going down a hill, like you said, not realizing how fast he was going. And then at a certain point, just lost control. And I know I've been only in one car accident in my life. And I know I accelerated before I hit the tree. So it might have just been a panic, like quick knee jerk reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Fairness. That's true. I think Noah gets in an accident once every other week. But I think it's true. You know, Noah, you look like you have a raptor about to attack your head.
They're feathers from this.
Okay.
Dream catcher.
I feel better.
That's what captured all the nightmares of past Buffalo Bill seasons. And it's because of that
we do have a few in here.
Good.
So
that's good. Maybe you'll catch some sabers.
Right.
So, other news. March Madness is over. We're all sad. We saw one shining moment.
We tear up a little bit. It does
every year.
Every year. Just
it's a beautiful
ball
song.
Is tipped.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the next line?
There you are. You're running for your life.
That's the best line right there. the scale up or whatever they would call it on American Idol, you know.
Next week on The Voice, Noah Morris.
On The Voice, yeah. 4-chair turn, Noah.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, Baylor dominated Gonzaga in an 86-70 victory that was not as close as the score was. No. Baylor started out on a 9-0 run. Gonzaga looked a little shocked by that. And then it was 16-3, I think, if I remember my brain correctly. But I don't always remember my brain. So I think I brought my
Don't leave home without it, kids.
Yeah. Well, the cannabis bill just passed in New York, so so Noah, you'll be happy about that too.
Hey. Yes, it did.
Hey, that's why the show's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
Or bill seasons. I don't know. We'll see.
I wish they would have
done
that during the drought. Would have been way easier to deal with that whole.
Oh yeah.
Like they're 4-12, but man.
But they got 4.
Right. 4.
They got 4.
How many more games do they need to lose to go 4-20?
Hear me out. Here's how the Bills make the playoffs. Okay, I got this down to a science. I promise.
Could you imagine the conversations back then? Oh man.
Every single Bills fan would have looked like that gif of Charlie Day from Sunny in Philadelphia, yes. Where he has all the lines and he has all the papers and he's like wild.
Would have been all of us.
Yes.
They're in the hunt. Okay, here's how they get there.
I know Tom Brady's lifting the trophy, but
that's been all of us forever, is the in the hunt argument. So I know you guys are a little young still, but in the hunt has always been the
was the joke. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Not even the joke. It's just how it was.
Would have grown the conspiracies of how to make to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Cannabis. Anyway, our
sponsored
third thing we've endorsed today, I think. Smoothies, Tim Hortons.
And weed.
And cannabis. Yes.
Actually, that's a good combination of stuff right there.
I'm sure you would know. So the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, they added a camp body in offensive guard Forrest Lamp. Interesting story about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has his own personal endorsement deal in San Diego with a local lamp company. How about that?
It's like lamps or something. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Like that's like the name of the company. I was like, all right.
He probably won't make the final roster, but still a fun fact. So,
well, he's dealt with to give more info on Lamp. When he came into the league, he broke his shin and was out. And then last year, he did something else, or 2 seasons ago, in 2019, he got hurt as well and missed like 6 games. Then last year, he started every single game for the Chargers and played in all of them.
The Chargers, where
Yes.
Justin Herbert was sacked 85 times.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. Then they trusted him enough. But he only gave up 1 sack last year.
It's
So now the thing is they think that maybe they brought in Lamp to compete with Ford. So it's possible.
I can see that. That is a possibility. Because I don't think that Ford's spot on the offensive line as one of the starting 5 is guaranteed. I think we could pick out probably 3 names that are shoe-ins to be starting come week 1. But I think that Cody Ford is very much so in the air. And we'll have to see if there's any more.
You've got 4, really.
Feliciano, Morse, Dawkins.
Yeah.
And Williams. You're not signing Williams to that contract unless he's starting.
Feliciano's his contract is more or less a 1-year deal that we could walk away from after 1 year. It's a 3-year
I was talking
deal,
about Williams, but
Williams will be a starter.
Yeah.
Morse will be a starter, and Deion Dawkins will be a starter.
I
want Feliciano to be. It depends what else they bring in at guard, because if your 2 best guards in training camp end up being Cody Ford and Forrest Lamp, then you're going Lamp and Ford. So somebody's going to be the odd man out of those 3 at minimum.
Yeah. The actual stats on Lamp: 2 sacks, 1 penalty, and 1,174 snaps played.
That's not too shabby. When you look at the numbers of
do we get to make Forrest
pressures allowed by our internal offensive line, if we can get an improvement in our inside offensive line, our guard play, that was our weakest spot of our protection last season.
Well, this is the second guard they've signed in like a week. So
right.
They definitely think the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So moving forward, NFL rule proposal change, in now allowing numbers for wide receivers and running backs to go, and cornerbacks, I believe, as well.
In line, it's the college numbering
the
way
system.
They do numbers in college.
I thought in college though it could just be any number. You could be any number you wanted. I thought, but
it more closely mirrors college. I don't know that it's a 1-to-1 replication. It's closer to the college system than the prior NFL system for sure.
Yeah, so, because like linebackers can wear single digits too, and So yeah,
I think in college you can wear whatever number you want, but I think here they're just keeping offensive linemen and defensive linemen pretty much in their zone, and saying everyone else can pick single digits.
Yeah. There's still a certain designation. I mean, there are still numbers that certain positions can't grab, but if I do remember correctly,
that's what I said: offensive lineman and defensive lineman.
I think that's pretty much the only exception.
Yeah. So,
but there's like the 1 through 20, and then like receivers can be 1 through 20 now. So basically, they added 1 through 9.
Yeah, but they can't pick like 54 or something. Like that's just
right. 1 through 20, and then 80s. Right.
Yeah.
I think that some of the idea behind this and this change, I was racking my brain from multiple perspectives. Like, why would they decide this season to try to make this proposal and try to change the way that the number system has been for as long as I can remember? And I came to this conclusion, knowing that ticket sales were obviously down last season because of COVID, and a desire to recoup some finances. What better way
Wow.
than to change the ability for players to change their number to single digits. Stephon Diggs almost did it. He decided against it, but for every Stephon Diggs, there's going to be somebody else that does change their number.
Jalen Ramsey.
And it's an additional jersey sale, a way to recoup money. Just saying.
That's like, yeah, I didn't even think of that. And then
the NFL is I was like, very good at marketing. Yeah.
Shocker.
I might have come up with the idea if I worked for the NFL, because that's pretty ingenious when you think about it.
No, it really is. It's smart.
Well, that's why like all but I think Chicago's owner is like gonna say yes. So,
well, it's gonna pass. Yeah, if it hasn't already. Sticking with football, Sam Darnold is on the move out of the AFC East.
Good for Sam.
Good for Sam. He has been traded to the Carolina Panthers for a 6th round this year and a 2nd round next year and a 5th, I think.
It sounds about right. I don't know off the top of my head at the second.
I know there's a second. I know the second's right.
The second is this year. The second this year?
No, the 6th is the only one that's
this 6 is this year, and then the second is
and then there's another one. It's either a 4th or a 5th. So that's next year as well. They got 3 picks. So
fair for both teams. I mean,
I think so. I think in the end, well, I mean, yes and no. When you spend a pick that high, right? That's still tough to swallow, I think, when you're only getting a 2nd round pick back, but it is what it is, right? I mean, the Cardinals didn't get that much for Rosen, right? They got a cut him.
But I mean,
when they drafted Kyler Murray,
I don't know. I would have given a double order of wings for Josh Rosen at this point in his career.
Oh, definitely. No, so I agree.
The fact that they got anything.
No, I don't think they did. I think they cut him, didn't they?
Did they cut Josh Rosen? See, that's how much under.
Or did they trade it? Did they trade into Miami? I don't remember.
No, he was. Yeah, he was traded to Miami. He was originally drafted by Arizona.
Yeah,
and then
he was traded for a 2nd and a 5th, I believe.
Funny,
he was traded to Miami with a 2nd and a 5th, a 2nd in the 2019 draft, a 5th in the 2020, and then you're thinking the Dolphins who cut him. The Dolphins released him.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's on Tampa Bay's practice squad.
He's bounced around some assets,
and I'm pretty sure that also means he gets a ring as well.
He does.
That's right.
So,
Josh Rosen got a ring before Josh Allen, and I am mad.
Before anyone else in that quarterback class.
Yeah.
I love how that happens.
It's crazy. Shout out to Brenda in the chat. Just looked over and saw her.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
We appreciate you. I'm going to do a better job of keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, that's on you, remember?
Yep.
Okay.
I got it up properly now. We're good.
Okay. So feel free to text. Yeah. Feel 777.
Right. 71616.
716. Just text game day.
Text game day to 716.
Text the Windcast code now.
Maybe eventually.
This hour's word is game day. I'm the one who made WGR spell them out.
Peach.
Did you? That was you?
Yeah. Every time they would come up with a word, I would text them and be like, how do I spell this? Do I spell it like, I can't even think of a word, but I'm like, do I spell it with an F, with a PH, with a silent S? And I was doing all this stuff. And so I would do it like once or twice a day when they would do it. And I know I'm like, you guys need to spell it out so I understand. I'm like, truth. It could have 2 O's in it instead of a U. How am I supposed to know?
And you invoked that change. We salute you.
Yeah. There we go. So I take credit for it, even if it wasn't me. But
anyone that appreciates the fact that they now spell it now knows who's responsible for that.
That's right.
All the degenerate
gamblers.
Gameday
716.
Gameday716. Yep. So, I didn't know about Paul Pierce.
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't.
No, I didn't know about that. Let's not go there yet.
That'll be fun one.
Yeah, that'll be good.
When we bring that up, I have a funny tidbit.
All right, we're gonna bring it up then.
Yeah.
So Paul Pierce has been let go by ESPN after Paul Pierce is a Celtics legend and
Fan of Instagram.
And he did an Instagram live with strippers. So ESPN decided that wasn't within their moral code and have let him go. So Noah, give us your stripper not analogy, but your funny stripper story.
So it's not about that though, but a porn site offered Paul Pierce a job to go on. It's like a campsite to go on to like their official page on the campsite and talk about sports.
It's awesome.
Ooh, that is
like,
because the demographic is already there.
Right.
Yeah. But there's going to be like naked women in the background while he's just sitting here with somebody else just talking about sports. And
Good for him.
Viewership goes
that was
up
the
or
job
down
offer.
from his time on ESPN. I've got the over.
I mean, he was good on ESPN.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good analyst, but I think that's a good gig for him. You know, if that's what this gets him in the end, good job.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Especially if he still gets the bag. Like, if you're
Right.
still going to make the money. And them campsites make money hand over fist.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he'll get some cut. Yeah.
That might change the game for campsites moving forward.
Yeah,
True.
Actually,
True.
be like OnlyFans level game changing.
Only sports.
Right.
Only sports.
Only sports and booty.
S&B.
That's the tagline, and booty.
Speaking of booty, 2 more massage therapists have stepped forward
Segue.
and shown themselves just to dig the knife a little deeper into Deshaun Watson and his lawyers. I don't even know if it's a defense anymore.
At this point, it's not. You can't consider that unless they come with something else.
Yeah. Nike and Beats by Dre have suspended their associations with Watson until the matter is resolved.
Update: Beats by Dre completely.
Oh, they
gone.
dropped him?
Oh.
They dropped him entirely.
Okay.
But absolutely, just suspended as far as Nike's concerned. Beats by Dre completely dropped him.
Okay. Eventually, he'll get kicked out of Nike too, I assume. But especially since they just picked up Diggs, right? So.
There's Jordan.
Oh boy!
Jordan branding.
Well, but Jordan is Nike.
Yeah. I mean, it's
it all rolls up, right?
Yeah.
To Phil Knight. So
yeah. I mean, he's the one ultimately banking off all of it. So yeah,
it all rolls up to the Oregon Ducks, actually. So.
Watson, man.
Deshaun Watson, we've talked about him pretty heavily 2 times in a row, so it would be beating a dead horse to keep talking about it, but dude's in trouble, not smart, bad lawyer. Everything he says has been spun on its head.
Yeah.
The whole thing about now we know people coming forward, and then people came forward, and then
after
people
the press
came
conference.
Yeah. Well, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're innocent because no one's willing to show their face, and then people come out and show their face. So, it's kind of, I don't know. He's done.
Yeah. I'm going to be a parrot and just repeat what I've said the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I would rather be wrong about one man than 21 women.
Yes.
I
22 now.
22, yeah. I would rather apologize to one man than have to apologize for 22 women for not believing them. So, Deshaun Watson, if you ever see this, I mean no harm, but I've got their side unless it's proven otherwise, and then I will formally issue you an apology.
Yes,
it's that simple.
And Game Day 716 is right there. So speaking of 22,
more segues. You're on a roll today.
I know I am. So 25 Canucks, Vancouver Canucks, now have COVID. See, 3 more than 22. And 4 coaches as well. So they have a hardy problem in Vancouver. I haven't heard exactly what they're doing about it other than not playing, but there's 22 players with COVID right now.
Which is shocking to me, because I would assume that they would have gotten vaccinated.
They did.
Yeah.
And these are alternate strains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even with the vaccine, you can still catch it. It's just a matter of your body's ability to fight it.
Yeah, but they were saying that these were like some of them got like the Brazilian strain, and some of them got the New York strain or something, and so
it's mutating fast.
Yeah, it is. So, but Mom, come visit in a few weeks. So we'll have you on the show. So
update on the Canucks. The NHL expects to have them ready for team activities and games by the end of this week.
That's insane.
Good news. I mean, it's good news, but it is a little bit fast.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to see how the testing goes, but they expect some of the guys who got on the list like early on to be fine now. So then they think that's about 10 guys off of that list.
So hypothetical question.
It still leaves half their roster. Yeah, go ahead.
As more and more teams, players, leagues, widespread vaccinations, all right, like as it happens more and more, and a high enough percentage of players and personnel are vaccinated to where if they get COVID, right, it'll be mild, hopefully, if all goes well. And do we think that once enough people get vaccinated within each individual sports league that there won't be a COVID list anymore? You get COVID, if you got mild symptoms, it's fine. If you have severe,
I think it'll still be a COVID list.
Or you think you'll have to get vaccinated, catch it, have a mild case, and still not be able to participate?
I don't think they'll allow them to participate. I think there'll be a COVID list. I mean, I think you'll just you sit them down, you sit them out, because we still don't know all the side effects of COVID, right?
The long-term ones, yeah. I mean, poor Tommy Sweeney. If anyone wants to act like it's not a thing, Tommy Sweeney suffers from myocarditis now because of COVID and the after effects. So
and
even athletes can get it bad.
Right. Rasmus Ristolainen had a terrible case of COVID when he went through it. And he was out longer than any of the other Sabres after they got it from New Jersey, because everything's legal in New Jersey. But so I mean, Risto said he hurt, it hurt his body and
move.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything. He was having breathing problems and all that stuff. It amazes me that he's playing now.
Is he the player that went on record saying he was coughing up blood while he had it? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
There was a player that came out. If I remember the name or I find it, I'll circle back around to it. But I read recently a report. It was a player. I want to believe it was an NHL player that contracted COVID. And one of the symptoms that he was getting was he was coughing up blood.
Oh, wow.
Which ties into the respiratory nature of this disease.
Exactly. So it's still a scary thing. And that's why I think when you don't know the long-term effects, I think there'll still be a COVID list.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard that there's some medical circles that believe that this could. I'm making this comparison only because of seasonality, not because of fatality rates or anything of the sort. Just like the flu, every year will mutate.
Oh yeah,
the vaccine comes out, and the influenza is never going away.
I completely expect a COVID shot and a flu shot every year now. Going forward,
I anticipate that that's what we're going to see. And
I was just telling my wife that yesterday.
But in that regard, I think that's the way it's going to head. It's never going to go away. We're going to be able to catch it forever. But eventually in time.
And I was talking to somebody too, who said they'll probably figure out a way how to put the COVID shot and the flu shot together, and then you'll just get one shot.
The only issue I see with that, I mean, if they do it with the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, which is more of a traditional vaccine, kind of like the flu vaccine is, where it's actually a bit of the virus that you
Right.
get infected with.
Right.
The Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines are based on mRNA technology, and because of that, it's more of like a recipe on how your body should fight it, more so than it would be with other vaccines where it's literally infecting you with the virus.
Yeah.
The side effects because of those vaccines is more due to your body's autoimmune response from
Yep.
that data than
Right.
anything else. So I could see the Johnson & Johnson and then the flu vaccine kind of being
Well,
married
you could
together at some
you
point.
could still put them together.
Yeah.
I mean, just
It'd be
in one
interesting.
shot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, it's just the matter of
The science and
yeah,
doing
yeah,
what you need to do so that there's not
yeah,
any adverse effects from getting them both at once.
yeah.
But in
Just
theory, it should be possible.
just to hop in. Noah had to step away. It's not that he's disappeared. So it's just going to be me and Paul for now. We'll see what's going on.
I'm going to interject real quick because Brenda just hit us up in the chat again. Don't know if I know enough to be part of show. You do. Everyone's welcome. But with that many women coming forward about Watson, can we really believe they are all lying? And I think that's a very valid point.
Exactly. And that's what we have been harping on, I think, since the beginning, that it's exactly what you said, Paul. You're going to believe 22 women before you believe one man.
Yep.
And the more and more facts that come out, you know, that he was taking tables from the Titans, from the Texans locker room. You know, he was taking, and that kind of stuff as well. That's just creepy stuff you got going on. And, you know, it's the more that comes out, the more damning it is. And
Yeah.
you have to believe the women.
If it was, I hate to play devil's advocate here, but if it was one woman that stepped forward,
right,
and Deshaun Watson, I think that everyone's best to just sit on their hands.
Well, I mean, most people would
women.
probably side with Watson.
In that case, right? It's just one woman. Nobody else that you've ever had a massage from has a problem.
Right.
The narrative would be completely different. I agree. Brenda brings up an excellent point that like 22 women, it's far more unlikely, not a guarantee, far more unlikely that 22 women are lying compared to one man.
Absolutely.
I mean, reverse that the one man is lying compared to the 22 women. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She also mentioned that the update on the vaccine today was that there will most likely be a booster shot in 6 months to a year.
Okay.
I've heard similar things as well.
Yeah.
I think that's to be expected, and hopefully as time goes on and long-term effects of all of this are more widely known, that it'll become more widely accepted. But individual choices can't force anybody. I get it.
Yep. So speaking of the vaccine, we're not going to get to Josh Allen yet, but we will.
I'm pinned in the back of my head right now.
We will get to Josh Allen, but speaking of the vaccine, the NBA has said they're expecting full fans next season, as the NFL has already said.
Yeah, I believe the NFL has come out and said that.
Yeah. So the NBA is following suit, which makes sense because they're the NBA. They know what they're doing. In another sort of political / sports, getting involved in political ideas or stances, Major League Baseball has moved the Major League All-Star Game out of Atlanta to Denver, due to the new Georgia voting laws. Another big political stance taken by another major political or another major sports league. It's the first time I've actually agreed with something Major League Baseball has done in a long time.
I was shocked.
I
didn't see that coming. I agree with it and I applaud it. Mm-hmm. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, me too. And for them to have the strength to do it, I think is really impressive. And I know a lot of companies, you know, wrote their letters of dissent or whatever, and sort of left it at that. But it's nice to see baseball sort of put actions where words are. When most of these companies are just putting words out there. So it's a nice thing to see.
Just to spin off that real quick, make one point, semi-political. The very same people that are harping on cancel culture as something that we should never ever partake in are the same people saying to boycott Coke, boycott Major League Baseball. I think that's very telling. People only want to boycott things when it suits their narrative.
Yes.
And want to down it when it goes against their narrative. But cancel culture, in my opinion, needs to be renamed, because all cancel culture is
everything needs to be renamed.
Yeah, and a cancel culture is such a horrible name for that, because it's if you do something, right, there's a cause and effect to everything. There's consequences to everything. My 6 and 7-year-old children know that if they act out, the consequence is you get in trouble.
Exactly.
Without having to have that responsibility, like, okay, I got to own what I just did. I messed up, and now there's got to be a consequence. If you eliminate consequence by eliminating cancel culture, all you're doing is you're propagating the ability for companies and people to do whatever the heck they want with zero consequence. Nothing's going to happen to my job. Nothing's going to happen to my livelihood. I could be racist. I could be a bigot. I can be anything I want to be, and I am not going to be held accountable for it. And that's not how it should be. I get you have the freedom to say whatever you want. You do not have the freedom to avoid consequence.
Well said.
It is your right to speak your mind, but it is also humanity's right to hold you accountable.
Yep. Yeah. I'm completely on page with that. So just to move us along.
No catchy segue this time? Dang. We didn't set him up for it, Noah.
Well, no, not this time. So
speaking of cancel culture.
Never mind. I'll save that joke for myself. The Masters starts on Thursday. Do you follow golf, Paul?
Enough. I follow golf enough.
You got a favorite?
I mean, it would have been Tiger if he'd be playing, but
right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
He said he's bummed.
I would imagine
that was the official word that they use, is that he's bummed.
This just in. Tiger's bummed.
Shucks.
Tiger's bummed not to be playing in the Masters.
Now, he could have won the Masters if he would just went the speed limit. I'm sorry. Love you, Tiger. I say that joke in love.
We all grew up with Tiger as
Tiger's what got me interested in golf.
Yeah. So at all different age groups, even, he was still the man, Notice I said the man and not the banned word. So
Wonderlic?
What?
He said the banned word. I said Wonderlic.
No, we have another band. We have another banned word. So
I know. I just wanted
rhymes
to say
with coat.
Exactly. So the NHL trade deadline is less than a week away, and the Sabres have sat Taylor Hall.
Dun dun dun.
The Sabres now have points in their last 4 games. 5 games. It was 4 before yesterday, and so now it's 5. And the Sabres actually look like a somewhat competent team, even playing without Jack Eichel, who they're going to trade to New Jersey for. I'm kidding. We're not going to go there.
We'd spend the rest of the show on it.
I know we would.
Breaking news. It's not Sabres, but the Islanders have acquired Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac from New Jersey for a 2021 first-round pick. So that probably takes the Islanders out of Taylor
You mean
Hall.
the Devils? Oh, the Islanders. Yes.
They were one of the teams rumored.
Yeah, especially if they did it for a pick.
Yeah.
There were also 2 players included, but it was just 2.
Yeah.
Forwards, the young guys. Oh, and there's also a conditional 4th. Man, Drake really let me down on that. So it was okay. So the full trade was
Okay, drop a Woj bomb here.
Was
A nose
the
bomb?
yeah.
Woj.
Oh, there we
A
go.
nose bomb.
Nose
Yeah.
bomb. All right. The Islanders got Palmieri and Travis Zajac from the Devils in exchange for forwards Greer and Jobst and their first round pick.
Jost? Tyson Jost?
No, because he's on Colorado.
Well, I thought
he's
maybe
on
he.
Toronto.
Yeah.
No, it's two prospects. They're two prospects.
Okay.
They're two Islander
Okay.
forward prospects. And the first round and the Islanders' first round pick in the 2021 draft and a conditional fourth in the 2022 draft.
Conditional based on someone resigning, probably, or
Probably. Let me pull up the article. Hold on. It might say. Ooh, New Jersey also retained 50% of both Palmieri and Zajac's salaries.
Ooh.
wow.
It doesn't say what the conditional fourth is for.
That makes the Islanders incredibly dangerous because those are two very good players, and
Make them
that
a
makes
cup contender.
yes, because Palmieri makes up for the loss of Anders Lee, who they've been searching for since he went down. I mean, they've been searching for a replacement, solid, suitable replacement, and it wasn't Matt Del Cole. So I think Palmieri makes a really big upgrade in that spot for them. And Zajac is awesome as a penalty killer, as a face-off guy.
So knows Lou Lamoriello too. So
right.
True there.
Yeah, he was probably a Lamoriello draft pick, actually. So yeah, I think they both fit in perfectly into the Islanders system, and with Barry Trotz, with what Trotz likes to do. I think that's a great trade, probably on both sides. It's a really good trade, depending on how good those prospects are. But even just to get a first, I don't know, just a first, just a first though for Zajac and Palmieri seems low to me, especially when it's the Islanders first, which means mid to late 20s.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're probably throwing in two somewhat NHL ready prospects, I would assume. I mean, if you're the Devils, there's no way you're giving up two guys that have been your cornerstones of your franchise and saying, yeah, give us crap at forward.
Well, I mean, they might because they're the Devils. I mean, they're almost as inept as the Sabres, except they were smart enough to bring in Lindy as their head coach. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. This is just the Islanders just loading up for the run. I mean,
yeah.
No, this is New Jersey listening to Todd say that they're supposed to be trading for Jack Eichel. And because of that,
we're not going there today.
First round pick so that they can.
You know what?
Hey, I'll take it.
You know what?
You want to give us both of yours? Sure.
That could be. It could be that because they don't want to give up their top pick, that they're getting that pick ready to try and trade for Eichel.
So, LeBron brought up a good point, saying that this made more sense for the Islanders than Hall, because, it was really honest what you pointed out, Dad, the way they fit in. But then Drager also pointed out that teams were waiting on the Palmieri trade to happen for Hall. They wanted the market to be set. So the Palmieri trade was what was going to set the market for Hall, not Hall setting the market for Palmieri. So now that Palmieri is done, teams are now going to shift their focus to Hall and the Sabres. That's what's next.
All right.
So
makes sense.
That should be the next trade, honestly.
Well, you never know, but
unless it's like that'll be the next big trade.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to Toronto. How about that? Bold prediction.
That's their prediction. All right. Everybody make note. If he's wrong, we make fun of him. The show after the deal is set.
Where's your guess?
I don't think he's going to go to Toronto. I think they're going to ship him to like Vegas or something and be like, bye. Like
Vegas was what was on my mind.
I mean, why does that make more sense than Toronto or less?
Well, I think if I remember
Both
correctly,
teams are actually pretty stacked in their farm system.
If I'm the Sabres, do I want Toronto getting better?
He's only going to be better while you're not in their division because he's a free agent at the end of the season.
The inner Sabres fan, inner Leafs hater in me doesn't
Yeah.
want him to go to Toronto. That's
I
the
know,
only reason.
but
It fits. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Mhm.
I just don't want to see it.
I understand. I mean, that would give them a killer top six, a killer top six. He wouldn't even be on their top line. And boy, he would only have to play with Tavares as a center instead of Austin Matthews.
Shucks. Like, I don't know. I mean, I can see him going.
It hurts me to say like Toronto, like for this exact same reasons you were saying, Paul. Like,
The
and it would
doesn't want it.
Yeah, and if they were in the division, I would say absolutely not. But with them not being in the division and with Hall being a free agent at the end of the year, and the Sabres being out of it,
yeah,
what does it really matter? They're not a rival this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not to change subjects, but want to shout out Brenda again in the chat. She's in agreement with us about Tiger, that maybe his foot accidentally hit the gas pedal when he was trying to hit the brake, and he was going 87 in the 45. I'm hoping it was just accidental and it wasn't anything serious, whether it was cognitive or otherwise.
Right. Yeah. Well, we all love Tiger, so, it was a shock when it happened, and it's
a shock finding out additional details now.
Yeah.
Like, how did he survive?
I'm still shocked that he's bummed too.
God must want him to win another Masters.
That's right. So here we go, guys.
Here we go.
Topic of the day. Josh Allen visited Kyle Brandt. Kyle Brandt's podcast on Spotify is called 10 Questions. And he had Josh Allen on for 10 questions. I love how you worded this, Noah. Anyway, Kyle Brandt asked Allen a question about COVID, and Allen's response was that he hasn't been vaccinated and wasn't sure if he would get it because he isn't informed enough, and he wants to read up more on the different vaccines because he is a big stats guy. And if they say don't, he won't get it.
No, it's just he won't. If they say get it, he will.
Oh, you forgot a comma.
Sorry.
Okay. Boy, I should have let you read this one because that's worded pretty tough.
I think we've all seen a lot of the takes today, and we're not going that direction.
We'll let you have your say because we know you want the floor on this. And we know how passionate you are, and then we'll get into our conversation.
Yep, this will be our segue into the conversation.
Yep. So let's hear it.
Okay. So for starters, I think it is unfair for anyone to crucify Josh Allen for his comments in what was probably a question he was not prepared for. And I think it comes across that way when you listen to the interview. That's number one. I don't think we can blame him for how he handled it. I think he tried to handle it in the most non-controversial way he could. It might have come out wrong. Maybe he said it exactly how he meant it. I'm not here to judge that. He left the door open for both sides of the equation, and he pointed out one thing that is the meat and potatoes of what I want to get to in regards to Josh Allen's statement, and that's that he's a stat guy, because I am too, and I follow stats, and I'm a numbers guy. I've been a numbers guy since I was a kid, and I got put in advanced mathematics. I find patterns in numbers. It's just one of the things that I'm good at. Numbers, though, are reliant on context and interpretation. Numbers themselves do not tell a story. Here's an example. Everyone has probably heard someone, whether it's on Twitter, a radio show, a TV show, say something to the effect of, I'm not worried about COVID because there's a 99.9% recovery rate. Time out. Let's unravel that. A 99.9% recovery rate would mean that less than 0.1% of people that get COVID die. And that's not accurate. And here's where context comes in. And this is why stats only matter if you understand context. And the thing is, when it comes to political bias, context goes out the window because a narrative is at play. So let's unravel the 99.9% real quick. That number is derived from two numbers. One, COVID death total, right? And then two, it's divided by total global population. 0.1% or less of the global population has died of COVID-19. That is fact. But if you interpret it as survival rate, you're being misled. So when somebody says to you that there's a 99.9% chance that you can be fine if you get COVID, that is not accurate. It is accurate that 99.9% of the human population is still alive despite COVID. That is accurate. Same number. I added the context. Now it makes sense. And that stat has weight behind it. To kind of give people an idea of how I can compare this to football, right? I'm going to compare it to football. I'm going to use Josh Allen since this is the topic that everybody's been talking about today. In 2020, Josh Allen was behind center for 1,035 total snaps of offense between weeks 1 and 17. Josh Allen completed 396 passes. For me to compare the 99.9% survival rate of COVID that is alleged by some people, and taking it completely out of context, I'm going to give you a Josh Allen stat that is completely out of context. I'm going to show you how numbers can be misleading unless you understand where the numbers come from. So like I said, there was roughly 1,000 snaps that Josh Allen was a part of. When we think completion percentage, we all know that completion percentage is how many passes did you attempt? How many passes did you complete? If I were to say Josh Allen completed passes on 39% of the snaps he played, it sounds pretty bad. It sounds awful. He only completed 39% of his passes on the snaps that he was a part of. But wait, we're not taking into consideration running plays that didn't go off because of a false start penalty or an offsides penalty. But I'm not giving you that context when I tell you that only 39% of the plays that Allen was a part of resulted in a completed pass. So the way that I say it and the way that I give that number to people gives you the context that I want you to have. And unless you peel back the context and look at the context for what it is, that, oh, he's talking about every single snap that Josh Allen was on the field, not every time he threw, because his completion percentage was actually 69% in 2020. But if I told you that only 39% of the snaps he was a part of resulted in completed passes, it paints a much different picture. I'm utilizing the same information, but giving it to you two different ways. And the failure to give you the context behind those numbers is making you think what I want you to think. So to compare it back to COVID, when we're interpreting statistics, when we're looking at the numbers, when each one of us as individuals are trying to make a decision for ourselves about COVID and about the vaccine, I want everyone to remember one thing. Know the source of the information you're getting, A. B, understand that the context you're being given could be misleading, and you need to take the context out of the number and find the context for yourself. Simple math can always help you do that. And if not, look elsewhere for the information. Find corroborating statements that are put in the context in the same frame. So when you hear something like 99.9% survival rate, if you get it, it's a fallacy, just as me saying that Josh Allen only completed passes on 39% of his snaps, right? I'm giving you information that is misleading context, but to someone that doesn't dive into the context, you're going to take that at face value. You're going to start propagating it. You're going to start talking to your friends about it. It's going to spread like wildfire. And eventually the narrative is going to become Josh Allen's inaccurate all over again because of misinterpreted data. So statistics are fine. Josh Allen is right that statistics matter. Josh Allen is right that it's everybody's choice. Be wise and be careful not to be misled by the context of that information. and make sure that the context tells the whole story. Otherwise, you are just being misled. And the information you think you know is truth is based, again, on something that's misleading. So just take numbers for what they are, but understand that without context, your numbers mean nothing. Context is king. The floor is all of ours now.
So do you think Alan should get it or not?
I think, give me that one right out of that. I will go on record saying that I think that in due time, everyone should. Here's why. Here's my logic behind why. One, if we're just speaking about Josh Allen, I think that statistics should show him that he absolutely should. In the first 2 weeks of the vaccine being distributed, 7.5 million doses were given to adults in the United States. Of those 7.5 million vaccines, 19, not 19,000, not 19 million, 19 resulted in anaphylaxis. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's just a fancy word for a severe allergic reaction. Of those 19 people that had a severe allergic reaction to the first 7.5 million shots, 0 of the 19 resulted in a fatality. Now, if you get COVID-19, here's where, again, context is king, right? We're told that fatality rate's less than 1%. Less than 1% of people die. Inaccurate, again, if you're not looking at context. So I'll keep this short and sweet, but for contextual purposes, I use worldometers.info/coronavirus for all of my data when it comes to COVID-19 and trying to decipher what the death rate is, et cetera, et cetera. Most people take the number of deaths and they divide it by one of many things. Josh Allen, I'm talking to you when I say this. And everybody, Josh Allen, you're a statistics guy. I'm giving you numbers. I'm giving you statistics. Everything that I'm saying right now, you can verify for yourselves. Promise. As of today, there have been 134 million cases of coronavirus in the entire world. And there has been almost 3 million deaths worldwide. Now, if you take that 3 million and divide it by the total amount of cases, you're gonna arrive at a percentage. That percentage is not the death rate. I'll explain why. If you take cases that are still open-ended, active cases, and you attribute a percentage of those to either be resulting in death or overcoming the disease itself, you're making an assumption that's not based in reality. So what you need to do is you need to take the cases that have ended. Okay. If we're going to figure out how many people die that get it, this is what we need to figure out. One, how many cases have reached a conclusion? Of the roughly 134 million cases worldwide, 110 million have been closed, meaning that one of two things happened. One, the person recovered and was discharged, regardless of how mild or severe their symptoms were, irrelevant for the point of death rate.
The person was discharged.
They were discharged. They were discharged. Regardless of how bad it hit them, they were discharged. All right. Mm-hmm. That happened. Of those 110,000 closed cases, that one or the other thing happened, 107 million or 97% were discharged. Of the 110 million people that have had COVID and either recovered or died, nearly 3 million have died. And that's 3%. You cannot incorporate active cases. If you do, you're assuming who's going to live and who's going to die. And that is impossible to predict. So if we just look at the cases that we have actual data, they survived, they died. That number isn't 134 million, it's 110 million. And then when you take that 3 million death number and you divide it into the 110 million, you get roughly 3%. 3% is the proper death rate of COVID-19. If you get COVID-19, 3 out of every 100 people that get the disease die. 97 out of 100 people survive. That still is good odds in everyone's favor. But do not allow anyone to tell you that it's less than 1%. Because when you break down the context, again, when you break down the context, those statistics are misleading if you're not being provided said context. I just provided the context of figuring out a death rate, and anyone can figure this out. Pull up the numbers however you wish, do the math on a calculator if you want. It's 3%. It's been 3% for over a year. It was at 4% at one point. It was at 4% at one point. It's dropped to 3. Make sure that you're paying attention to context. Josh Allen, the science is there. It is. I understand that you're on the fence. I understand that you had a hell of a season and you probably haven't been doing as much research on this as I have. And that's understandable. I will not fault you for that. I won't even fault you for the stance of I might get it, I might not. It's going to depend on information. The information is out there. I urge everyone, Josh Allen included, as you're looking at the statistics, as you're trying to interpret the data, make sure that it's contextually accurate. Because contextually, this disease kills 3 out of every 100 people that get it. And anything other than that is a bold-faced lie. Because when you look at the numbers and you break it down the way I just have, and I hope that that made sense to people. If it didn't, come at me on Twitter. I will explain it to you all over again. I don't mind. I will be as kind as humanly possible when I do so. The numbers that I provided are factual. You can look them up. And the number is 3%. The COVID-19 vaccine, I promise you, you want to talk about deaths less than 1%, that's where you could find the COVID-19 vaccine. There have not even been an entire percentage point of deaths when you take into consideration the worldwide vaccinations that have taken place. I cannot speak to long-term effects, and I will not because I can't predict the future. What I can say is the disease is far more deadly than the vaccine to date. Can that change? Time will tell. As of right now, the vaccine kills far more people. The vaccine kills far more people. No, not the vaccine. The disease kills far more people. Rewind. The disease kills far more people than the vaccine has. If that changes, I will be the first one to admit that, hey, the dynamics have changed. We all need to take another look at this. But as it stands right now, not looking long-term, looking right now, far higher percentage of people are dying of the disease than will ever die of the vaccine. And you should get it. If you feel like you shouldn't, talk to your primary care doctor. Don't listen to Fox News. Don't listen to CNN. Don't listen to.
Here's what I'm going to say. There's no such thing as feel facts. Yeah. There's facts and there's feelings, but there's no such thing as feel facts. Mm-hmm. And so, again, if you're listening to any news station, make sure that you're getting the right facts, because most stations do put some kind of spin on it and will continue to put some kind of spin on it, and always will, because that's how they get their ratings.
And that's how politics works.
Well, and
politics don't work if both sides like each other.
Well, and it's not just politics though, right?
No.
I mean, it's marketing and it's ad campaigns and it's keeping your advertisers, and I mean all of that kind of stuff.
A lot of play, which is what goes into it. Context is so important, and if the context is removed by a news station to spin a narrative, you need to be able to identify that as a human being. And we all have a brain. We can all think for ourselves. Okay?
Yes, but most of us don't.
Exactly, and therein lies the problem. We all need to flip that part of ourselves on. Those of us that don't actively do that don't actively think for themselves and rely on outside information, and they just take it at face value. Those generally seem to be the people that are pushing the narrative of don't get the COVID vaccine. They're going to chip you.
Well, I mean,
it's not how vaccines work.
Vaccines in general.
Yeah.
Not just the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Vaccines.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's not how it works. If they wanted to chip you, they wouldn't have to put it in a vaccine. They'd already have it in your drinking water.
Right.
You stop drinking water because I said that now? Because it'd be easier to put it in your water.
Smoothies and pop.
That's as I'm getting chipped right now, everybody. You can't see my water. I'm drinking water. I'm actively being chipped.
It's in the fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So just to paraphrase everything I've said, I don't have a problem with anything Josh Allen said, minus a little Minus the little comment he made about the Constitution, because it has already been determined by federal courts long before I was born that mass vaccinations and mandatory vaccinations are constitutional if, here's the big if not vaccinating presents a global health crisis. And I'll leave that there.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a comment like that not like yours, like Alan's about the Constitution, that leads you down a road to say, is he really a facts and statistics guy like he says he is?
That was my initial reaction. I want to believe that he is, but I want to believe that he's
I don't
just
think
as
he
human
is.
as I want to believe that he believes it.
I would like to believe it, but I have a problem with it. And this is where I think a lot of the debate is coming in, right? There's a couple sides to the debate, right? Was it a gotcha question, right, from Kyle Brandt? Was it? I don't know.
It seemed playful in his delivery of asking the question.
It did.
It didn't seem like he had any malice behind the tone of his voice.
We also know Kyle Brandt is a huge Bills fan, or at least plays it that way.
Yeah.
And is part of beloved Bills Mafia celebrities and all of that kind of stuff, and that he doesn't knock down the Bills or anything like that. And it doesn't seem to me like it was a gotcha question either.
It wasn't. It
definitely seemed like it was flow of conversation.
Maybe Brandt knew that that's where he wanted to go, but I mean, it wasn't like these were the questions that wasn't a part of the questions that he gave beforehand. It was definitely just a flow of the conversation. I think
that's how it came off to me.
I don't think he specifically went, I'm going to ask him this question. Maybe he was like, we're going to talk about COVID, and if it goes there, it goes there. And then it did. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know. He rode the middle, I think, as well as he could for being a 24-year-old kid who definitely leans right. I mean, that answer.
It's clear that
a 24-year-old older than you kid.
Well, whatever. I call them kids anyway, because I feel. But it's like, I mean, he obviously he looked uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him because, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, sure, the Constitution thing was dumb, but also there are people who are treating it like he came out and said it's unconstitutional. He said it might be. He said it seems like maybe that might be restricting our freedom of expression, and then he went, I don't know.
I think the only thing he's guilty of is being a little naive. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that like he genuinely is too naive to know whether or not that is or is not constitutional. And that's not his foray. Like I
don't think it's naivety though, but I think it's ignorance.
Ignorance might be the right word, but blissful ignorance. I don't think it's intentional ignorance. I think that it's just like, I'm a 24-year-old kid that like I know what I know because of the people that tell me it. And I've got an entire franchise on my shoulders that I was focused on during COVID-19. And I love information, but I haven't done enough to decide one way or another. And I'm probably best leaving it at that. And if he would have stopped there, he would have been great. Like that would have been golden. Leave it open, let people make up their own minds, because you were going to have 50% of people attacking you if you leaned any one way. And for someone on the right to try to hit that,
but now he has 100%.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about it in some way, shape, or form now, which is why I don't necessarily have a problem with his belief or how he presented it. I think that,
or should I say, he has 99.9% of the people attacking him.
I like it. I think that for someone that is clearly on the right, and I'm not here to say whether or not that's a discussion for another time. For someone on the right, though, he tried his best to not come off completely like that. And I don't think he ever really tries to. And for that, I applaud him. And I think that he made the absolute best of a difficult question that I don't think had any ill intention behind it. In fact, I would bet my next commission check that Kyle Brandt currently feels awful over this because he's connected to Bill's Mafia. I guarantee you he's watching Twitter right now and the reaction to the podcast. And he's like, damn, I really set that kid up for some shit, didn't I? I feel awful. Knowing the way that Kyle Brandt comes across. And I don't know Kyle Brandt, the human being. I just know Kyle Brandt, the media personality. But he has never once come off to me as someone that would intentionally sabotage someone. And I've listened to some of the other 10 question podcasts, right?
Though I will say, go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there was any ill.
I will say this: Kyle Brandt is from the Jim Rome tree of broadcasters. I don't know if you. I mean, I know you know who Jim Rome is, but Brandt used to work in Jim Rome's as his producer or something like that, and Jim Rome got famous with a gotcha question for Chris Everett, the quarterback for the Rams at the time, punching him in the face because it wasn't Chris Everett, was it?
Name's escaping me right now.
No, it was Mark Everett, and he kept calling him Chris because Chris Everett was a female tennis player.
I remember now. Yep, you just
and he said he kept calling him Chris, and Chris was like, "If you say it one more time, this isn't gonna go well." And then he was like, "Chris." Like he just said it.
In my head, I'm replaying my memory and seeing the video right now.
And then he got clocked. I mean, he got clocked, and
little different in my opinion.
I'm just saying that Kyle Brandt does come from the Jim Rome school of broadcasting. So
I mean, I said maybe he thought he was going to go there, but I don't think he went, "Oh, I'm going to ask him this and make sure that he says something or put him in a position."
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is the possibility.
I mean, Rome did that on purpose.
Rome did that to make a name for himself. Yes.
I feel like if Kyle would have been doing it intentionally, there would have been a follow-up to keep pushing that button, knowing that he had him on the edge like that. Because I would want to push him one way or another, right? Let's pretend that the three of us right now are Jim Rome-esque, right? And we're trying to create that moment. We're like, oh my God, this is going to go viral because we're going to get Josh Allen to say that he's going to get the vaccine or he's not. And it's going to be so polarizing because of how political science has become. Let's remember that, people. We have politicized science.
We politicize everything. I mean, we've politicized ice cream. Right.
Not much falls through the political filter without getting scathed.
Right.
I think that if I'm Kyle Brandt in that moment and I have that intention, I'm saying, well, you've got to make a decision at some point. Which way you leaning, Josh? Like which way you leaning, and really try to push that envelope. And it didn't come up. It just maybe.
Well, let's move on. I think we all agree. I was just giving a devil's advocate kind of thing when it came to Kyle Brandt.
I think you both are also playing up how much Brandt has sway or pull. I mean, Kyle Brandt had to go to social media to get our help to tag Josh so much to get Josh to then reach out.
Okay. That I think was a marketing ploy.
Sure. Which, yes, I agree with that. But I also think
I bet he had Allen lined up already.
I don't
and
think
he just did. And I
would bet you Allen denied it.
Based on some of the tweets from Feliciano and Allen, it didn't seem that way. Was it his intention to, hey, I'm gonna drum up some I could get Josh Allen myself.
You had
I have
George
somebody that can reach
Kittle,
out to his agent.
You had Feliciano talk about it. I'm pretty sure you had Dawkins talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could have been to drum up interest. I don't know that I think it would have happened even if he wouldn't. It's tough.
Mhm.
It's tough because I see your point. If I would have done it, I would have
That's
used
what I'm
Bill
saying.
Mafia to do it because
Right.
then already I know Bill's Mafia is watching.
Right.
Like I've already
You've got 100,000 people
my viewership,
as your
yeah.
as your into your podcast. It's
Just
going to be your biggest podcast
by
ever.
getting some fake help.
Right.
Because if it doesn't work, no problem. I'm just gonna go to the guys behind the scene and be like, hey, can you reach out to Alan's agent, see if you can get him on the show next week?
Exactly.
And it would have been done. It would have been done. Those connections could be made. Or else he wouldn't have been able to get anyone else for any of the other 10 questions ever to appear for the same reasons.
Right.
So they have the resources to do that. But I do think that Kyle Brent has a soft spot for Bill's Mafia too. So like I can't dismiss that either.
No, I mean I think
this
that
might be a cool way to go about this because
right.
Maybe it was a win-win.
Brilliant marketing. It's brilliant marketing. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I think it's marketing. I think that was a ploy to keep Bill's Mafia interested in Kyle Brandt until next season. It was something he could do. He could pull it off.
You catch his appearance on One Bill's Live where he talked about it a little bit more in depth today?
I didn't. Not today, no.
So he went on One Bill's Live and he challenged every other fan base. He challenged them, but he pretty much said this. Bill's Mafia did what no other fan base could do. I wanted Josh Allen on the show. I got off the set. I sent a tweet to Bill's Mafia saying, hey, it'd be really cool to get at Josh Allen QB on 10 questions. Bill's Mafia, think you can help me out? And 56 minutes later, he was good to go. Feliciano jumped in. Josh Allen started talking about it. And 56 minutes later, and then he went on to list people. He's like, Dog Pound, I guarantee you in 56 minutes, you can't get Baker Mayfield on my show. 12s, the 12th man, I guarantee you can't get Russell Wilson on the show. You couldn't do it not only couldn't you not do it in 56 minutes, you probably couldn't do it in 5 years.
Right.
Like he went in on it. Like he kept, so to your point, now that I'm kind of thinking about that, like, are you now challenging other fan bases to bring you guests now? Like,
it's a brilliant ploy, right?
I hadn't considered.
It'd also
that.
be a brilliant play because it worked.
Yeah. It's not a brilliant play if it doesn't.
I mean,
work.
He's not wrong though.
It was going to work.
Base would do this.
Yeah, no other fan base could pull it off. If we're being real, and that's not me being a homer. Like, let's be. Bill's Mafia does things that no other fan base does. Period. Not to trash any other fan base. I respect every other fan base.
I was talking to a guy from Pittsburgh today, and he was like, I got to get up to Buffalo for a game. He's like, and I was like, yeah, you do. And he's like, I love Bill's Mafia. He's like, I'm a total Steelers fan. He's like, I bleed black and yellow or black and gold, whatever he said, whatever they're, I don't know. Do they go by gold or yellow?
Black and yellow.
Yeah.
One of those.
Wiz Khalifa decided.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Then, so, and he was like, I'm a huge Steelers fan. He's like, but man, I need to see a game in Buffalo. And I was like, you absolutely do. I'm like, even if it's just for the purpose of the tailgate, I'm like, that's enough. That's enough of a reason.
Experience. Yeah.
Yep.
You're not going to go to any other game in any other stadium within any other fan base in the entire league and have the kind of game day experience, not created by the team itself, but created by the fan base.
Yes.
Anywhere. You just won't. You won't. If you've never been to a Bills game, you need to go to one. You need to go to one. Who knows? Maybe Gameday716 will conjure something up this upcoming season where we do something where we meet up with fans and maybe give away a couple tickets.
Absolutely.
Possible.
I'm down. We'll have a Game Day 716 flag flying in the parking lot.
Love it. Love it.
We'll hand out some free food to people and get some people enjoying the game, enjoying the pregame.
We'll bring the tables.
Bring the tables. I have tables that I use to work on right now, but hopefully by the season we'll actually have real desks and everything. So
I really wish we would have all been more captivated by the fact that Josh Allen said that at the Super Bowl parade, he's jumping through a flaming table off of a bus. Like, I really wish that was, the thing that everybody was talking about instead. If you take out the COVID vaccine question, I think that that's what would be talked about today by every podcast, instead of everybody having these, politically charged ideals. And I hope we came off to the audience as, as middle of the road as you can be about something so polarizing, and just talking about it in a matter of fact, factual, contextual sense, that wasn't trying to be misleading in any. Nobody's paying us for our opinion right now, right? So like, we have no horse in the race of misleading you to get a vaccine or not get a vaccine. I personally want to provide context, but get a vaccine, because if you don't, you might get your grandma sick.
That's where we stand. I mean,
or if you, at
least that's where I stand. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but
agreed. I'll be getting mine soon.
I got my first shot. I actually get my second shot this Friday, so
yeah,
I'm excited. My wife got her first shot last weekend on Easter, and
my mom's got both.
My mom's got both, so she's coming up to Buffalo soon.
Good.
So we'll have a nice show with her on.
Good job, Mom.
Yeah.
Good job, both moms. We're proud of you.
Absolutely.
Way too many voices could have tried pulling you in the wrong direction, and you chose what you chose.
I know my mom.
Yeah, Josh.
Come on, Josh. We kid. Kind of.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick, Todd, since you just brought that up. What do you think people's reason, and the biggest reason, if you could choose one reason why you think people are not, I don't want to go into the whole anti-vax conversation, but specifically about the COVID vaccine, what do you think the number one reason that people are against it is? Because I'm trying to mull my brain over this.
Trump.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it has a lot to do with it. I think that there's carryover from that's trickled down to the rest of the right. I think that narratives have been spun. I think you're absolutely correct.
It's the same people.
Correct.
It's the same people. I mean,
here's what I'll say. If the plan is to vaccinate people to kill us off for population control or Bill Gates or whatever wacky conspiracy theory you want to attach yourself to, this is what I have to say. One, as of 2021, the conception rate in every American family is half of what it was 2 generations ago. Used to be 4, it's currently 2. Population by 2061 is going to start to slowly be on the decline, because it won't be at the point where the amount of births, right? There's countries in this world that the average is 1 child per family.
Right.
There's countries in this world where you're only allowed to have 1 child per family. It's going to drop below a sustainable level, and population is going to start to thin out automatically.
Well, I mean, you're when your baby boomer generation, right, the biggest generation, starts to pass away, or I guess would be in the middle of passing away at this point, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's the biggest generation in U.S. history, and when as that continues to happen, if you can't keep up with that, then there's really no way to say that your amount of deaths control. Right, yes. Your amount of deaths are not going to equal the amount of births.
Yeah, so it's already going to decrease. So population control, get that out of your minds. It's already happening naturally. It's happening naturally.
Here's so you can own your extra acre of land if you want to. Just wait it out.
Yeah. So if you're one of those people out there that believe that the COVID-19 vaccine is some crazy chipped experiment by Bill Gates and he's just trying to reduce the human population,
I don't even think that they believe it. I think there's a segment that believes it, but I don't really think most people believe it as much as they say it. And that's where I get back into feel facts, right? Yeah. Like that's just something that I push because it just doesn't.
I like that.
It doesn't
steal it.
Go ahead.
I appreciate it. I like that. That's a really good way of putting it.
because they're not facts. They're what you feel, and it's
Don't confuse
not
the
the
two.
same. It's
No.
not the same. So that's really where I stand on that. I think most people will say it because it's easier to roll with their party.
Yeah. I don't really know how to phrase this, so I'm gonna try to off the hip say this, but like a lot of people disregard common sense because it would contradict party.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Yep.
The party does not care about you as an individual. The party,
but they'll just
the party only. Both parties care about the party, right? When you look at the individuals, that's where the meat and potatoes are, right?
Yeah.
I will have a conversation with somebody on the right that is an equal to me, not someone that's high up the food chain, an equal. And if we can throw the political bias to the side and look at fact, not feeling, just like Todd said, you look at fact, not feeling, and you're on opposite sides of the political spectrum, you can find common ground. You throw political bias in there, and common ground isn't even a thing. It's an illusion that you can either buy into based off of that feeling, or you can disregard because of the facts. Follow the facts.
I'm with you.
Follow the facts. The facts are out there. Even if people try to tell you that the facts are fake news, you can't fake news fact. Fact is fact. Otherwise, it would be opinion. Opinion can be fake news. Facts can't.
Exactly. So stop watching Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, please.
For the love of God.
So, all right. So who are we rooting for in the Masters for real?
Bryson DeChambeau.
That's your guy?
That's my guy.
That's who you're rooting for? Who do you think will win?
I don't know. Maybe him. I don't know.
He could.
Yeah.
He hits the ball very far.
Yeah, that's very true. Who you got, Paul?
Probably one of the more popular picks. But I think that without Tiger in the mix, I think Jordan Spieth has a really good chance to walk away with it. And it's trying to throw any bias out of the window, and like it seems like he's most likely from an odds perspective.
Yeah.
Well, he did win last week, so
hot hand.
True. Yeah,
exactly.
That could be huge going to the Masters. Who do you got, Dad?
Morikawa. That's who I'm going with.
All right, that's your guy.
Not really, but I mean that's who I'm going with. So, and never count out Dustin Johnson. So
true. Yep. Well, you guys should we wrap it up? Do you guys want to have anything else? Or
is there any football related stuff that happened this week? I don't believe so. I don't think anything. We talked about the guard that got signed. There wasn't. I mean, there was the Josh Allen thing that happened today, but besides that, that's the biggest news that I can recall.
More draft stuff, really.
We talked about the numbers, the draft stuff. I'll tell you this.
Falcons wanting to trade out.
Yeah, let's touch on the Falcons wanting to trade out, and that'll segue into one last thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's just an easy question for all three of us at the end. Let's talk about the Falcons first, and then I'll get to that. So yeah, the Falcons are trading out.
The Falcons want to trade out, and it's a dumb idea. Next.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Matt Ryan is not getting younger.
Matt Ryan is not getting younger.
You have a top 5 pick. You could bring in the heir apparent, give him the Aaron Rodgers treatment, let him sit under Matt Ryan for a year or two, and you're golden. Your offense is gonna still keep clicking, and you just got to figure out that damn defense.
And man, if
28-3 leads,
if they trade it before the draft, and then Justin Fields falls to 4,
yeah, that would be rough for them.
I
think
they would never be forgiven for it.
Yeah,
especially if Fields turns into a real player, a good player. You know, I mean, if Fields turns out to be Josh Rosen, that's one thing. But if Fields turns out to be Josh Allen, then,
Yeah.
I saw something today. I wish I could remember off the top of my head, tweeted, and I didn't save it, so I don't know. Somebody said that people are looking for the next Josh Allen, but that's impossible because Josh Allen is a one of one.
It's
And
true.
Yeah, that was a tweet. I
think
saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the best way to put it. And I don't think you could.
It reminds me of like Mario Lemieux or Shaq or
Gretzky. Like,
well, Gretzky's different to me. Just because Gretzky was so talented, where these guys were just built differently.
Yeah,
like
literally,
Lemieux was just built differently, where he was big and he could skate, and it was like you never saw a guy that big skate that well while holding while being able to control the puck the way he could and do all that scoring. I mean, he scored 199 points in one season. I mean,
yeah,
it's like you think about those kind of things and you're just like, holy cow. And he could check and he could do all of that, and Gretzky's whole game was offense. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. He owns 60 something records in the league, if not more, but I know he still owns over 60 records in the NHL. So, I mean, and that's insane to me. That's completely insane when you have somebody like that. Yeah. But when it comes to a player like Josh Allen, I think there isn't another one. There's another Patrick Mahomes out there. There's another.
I'm so glad you said that. I was getting ready to.
But there is, because I mean, it's just
that makeup exists, and it will exist again.
Mm-hmm.
You are never going to have another quarterback enter the NFL that is Josh Allen. Like you're just he's an anomaly, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is the exception to the rule.
Yep.
Everything said he shouldn't have worked. Everything.
Right.
And despite what his mind said and always saying yes, a lot of it has to come down. He would not possess the ability to do the things that he's done if he wasn't that one of one, if he wasn't this anomaly of a human being, like this physical anomaly.
Mm-hmm. That's where I said it's like it reminds me of Shaq or LeBron.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's like Josh Allen is the Shaq of the NFL,
right? Like, or LeBron. Same thing. Like LeBron gets fouled on every play. Shaq got fouled on every play, but the refs couldn't blow the whistle and call a foul every single play. Because if they did, it would have made for a really boring game.
Yep.
And
just wait until Josh Allen's stiff arms to the face behind the line of scrimmage are no longer called.
Right. Right.
Like he could do it. It's entertaining. Let him go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your question, Paul?
Okay, here's my question. Since we're just talking about Falcons, don't trade on your spot, Falcons. Take a quarterback at 4. Do the Bills, and we don't have to discuss player options or anything like that. Do they stay put? Do they trade down? Or do they trade up further into the first round?
I think they trade up, but I think it will only be if the picks go the right way. I don't think they're just going to do it to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
we don't see them staying at 30 though.
I don't
either.
There's no way they stay at 30. So we're all in agreement. Gameday716 is on record that the Buffalo Bills will not be picking 30th in the 2021 NFL draft.
Yes.
You owe us a subscribe, a like, and click that little notification bell when we're right.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I think that's the perfect way to wrap up episode 16. I do too. You guys are good with that. Oh, yeah, all right. Well, like Paul said, like, subscribe, leave us reviews, do all that fun stuff. We appreciate you for listening all the way through. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Gameday716, and you can come to our YouTube as well, which is also Gameday716. So give us a follow and check us out. With that said, once again, we do appreciate you for listening. And as always, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and we will talk with you in the next episode.
And get your vaccine.
And wash your hands. Wash your hands. All right. Oh, hold on. We're still live. I just stopped the recording.
We just wanted to say bye again.
Yep.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
Special shout out to Brenda being so active in the chat all show.
Yes.
And the show on the shout out to Brenda.
Yeah.
If Todd can figure out the
maybe.
controls.
Can you figure this out here or what?
Maybe. Hold on.
But you could just probably end the meeting and that'll end it too. Because I do have to go. So
All right.
Then we're all signing out.
yeah.
Until next time.
Until next time.